digitally if you want, or we can just jump to the second half of the second parak. It doesn't matter either way to me.
Let's see if it works.
Yeah, that is step one.
Oh, YouTube is working. Okay. Yeah, let's see if it works. Hello, YouTube. All right.
Hello.
Let's go. So I'm gonna get my screen set up. Opening up Sefaria, and while we're doing that, we can have a little music. Okay. Chapter 2 of Rosh Hashana. All right. Music out. Share screen. Where is my share screen
Have you been
button?
using anything fancy for your mixing, or just the volume knob?
What?
Have you been using anything fancy for your mixing, or just the volume knob?
Oh, I've been learning. I got this app, this program called Voiceometer.
Cool.
And it's like a digital sound mixer for your computer.
Cool.
Yeah.
For Mac or Windows?
Windows. They might have Mac as well, but I don't know. All right, so let's go.
Mesh or Shesh?
Let's just review from the beginning.
Sounds good.
So we're talking about sending witnesses for the new moon to the high court in Jerusalem, which is how they would establish the time, the day of the new moon in the temple and post-temple period. So Imena Makirin Oto, and this is also specifically talking about Shabbos. You break Shabbos, you violate Shabbos in order to send these witnesses to the court. They might have been coming from a day or, half a day's walk away from Jerusalem, travel. And that to travel that distance on Shabbos is a violation of Shabbos. So they violate Shabbos in order to travel to Jerusalem. Now, if they don't recognize, if this person who's going to go testify is not a well-known, is not a local, he's new to the area, people don't know who he is, then Mishalchan Achar Imo Laha'ido, then they would send someone else to testify as per his trustworthiness. In the beginning, they would receive testimony from anyone. You didn't need to send someone to testify as per someone's reliability. Anyone was trusted. Mishakilkalu Haminin, when the dissenters, when the break-offs disrupted this system, they established that they would only receive testimony from those who were known to the court. Okay.
By the way, Rabbi, I can hear you fine, but I'm hearing you less good than when we were doing chapter 1 2 sessions ago.
FYI. You know why that is? I was using my other mic.
Wonderful.
I think that's why. Let's see. I'm going to turn on my. I'm using this mic, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, Rabbi.
This is definitely my better mic. How's that?
Do another test.
Test 1, 2, 3.
Is that going on my end?
Oh, that's because I was using both mics at the same time. How's this?
Nice.
Yeah. Okay.
We are good.
Yeah. All right. So, With this mic, you got to really like speak right into it.
The
to get
quality
that
is
sound.
definitely noticeable though, so it's worth it.
Yeah.
And you look kind of like a radio announcer, so there's also
Yeah.
that.
But this,
Gives me-
we talked about this already. I made up my own professional mic arm from like one of those gorilla phone holders.
You're giving cover to the Torah because people are looking at you and be like, oh, this guy really means business. He's not just like talking into his standard, computer mic and making it all sound
Exactly. I probably should have worn a shirt for it though. But I'm going to give myself a pass just this one time. Okay.
And we'll continue with that.
Yeah. Actually, that's actually reminding me. I should with this sound mixer, I can put in like some wire up some buttons, like virtual buttons that'll automatically like fade in some music or fade out some music. Like, while we're schmoozing like this, I could like fade in some music on the side. Okay, now I've got another research project on how to figure that out. Okay. Barishona hayu masiyan masuot. In the beginning, they would light torches to signal to the different communities that the new moon was there, that Rosh Chodesh, the new month, had started. Mishakilkalu hakutim, when the Kutim, the Samaritans, disrupted this practice. Apparently, and in the Second Temple period, there was a lot of disunity, a lot of strife amongst different groups. And the Kutim, the Samaritans, disrupted this practice of the torches. Hitkinu shihu shluchin yotzin. So that's why they started sending out messengers from the court in Jerusalem to these different communities outside of Jerusalem and in the diaspora. Kate said, how was that torching, the torch system, how was that done? Mevin kulun sa'ot shel erez, there being poles of cedar wood, arukim, very long poles, vikanim, and reeds, vatse shemen, and olive wood, unaoret shel pishtan, and flax, v'korech mashicha, and they would tie it all up together. So this is a very well-burning torch. The ola l'rosh hahar, and they would lift this up on the top of a mountain, umatzit behenet or, and they would wave around this fire. Umolich, umevi, and side to side, umalu, umorid, up and down, achu roat chaveiro shu osakain barosh hahar sheni, until he saw the next mountain in the chain was also lit up. And then they would know that they got the signal and so forth. V'chein barosh hahar shlishi, and then to the next mountain. Fourth Mishnah. Ume'ayin hayu masin masuot. From where? What were the locations of the places that they were waving these torches around? Mehar Hamishcha Lesartava. The first mountain was Har Mishcha, the Mount of Anointment, which is the Mount of Olives. To Sartava, Misartava Ligrofina, Migrofina Lechavran, Umechavran Lebeit Biltin. We beit built-in lo zazu misham elamolech umevi umale umorid ad roa kolagola lefonav kimedurat esh. So they had this succession of mountains that they would pass it by. They would go from. The last one being Beit Built-in. And Beit Built-in was in such a location that from Beit Built-in, you could see all the further communities from that one place, and you would look out from Beit Built-in and see I guess the valleys down below light up in flames as people saw the signal. Okay, now we're going back to the messengers traveling on Shabbat to Jerusalem. And they're traveling on Shabbat to Jerusalem.
Don't try this.
Maybe they're getting there Friday night. Maybe they're getting there Shabbos morning. Maybe they're getting there Shabbos afternoon. And one of the laws of Shabbos is that you're not allowed to leave your place. So practically, you're allowed to walk within your town, and 2,000 cubits, 2,000 amot outside your town. if one were to walk outside those 2,000 cubits outside their town, then they only have their own personal 4 cubits, 4 amot, to walk in, and they're not allowed to leave those 4 cubits. So the question that this Mishnah is talking about is these messengers are traveling past 2,000 cubits, past 2,000 amot to reach Jerusalem, which they need to do, they're obligated to do in order to testify in the new moon. But once they arrive, they're no longer fulfilling the mitzvah of the testimony. So they're past their 2,000 amot. Maybe they live in Tel Aviv or Haifa or Lod, and they're coming into Jerusalem on Shabbat past their 2,000 amot. Do they have to stay in their 4 amot, or are they going to be given a special decree and an enactment that allows them to walk around further? So that's what the Mishnah is talking about. Chatzer Gedola Haita B'Yerushalayim. There's a large courtyard in Jerusalem, a Beit Yazek Haita Nekret. Its name was Beit Yazek. Ulesham Kol Ha'edim Mitkansim. In this courtyard, all the witnesses that were traveling would gather. And this is a question that we asked on a different day. That's still an open discussion, open question. We just are lacking the information so far. How many witnesses were actually coming? I mean, is this something that, you'd have 1,000 people coming every month? I mean, how did that work? Beit Din Botkin Otam Sham. Beit Din would examine the witnesses in this courtyard. And we're going to talk about the examination in another 2 Mishnayos, I think. Usudot gedolot osin lehem, and they would make great feasts because these witnesses are coming on Shabbos, maybe only bringing enough food to help them arrive, but now they're in Jerusalem on Shabbos, and they need to have a Shabbos meal, so they make great feasts for them. Bishvil shiu regilin lavo, so that they would have their meals, and so that they would want to come if they had to come to Jerusalem, be stuck in that courtyard. Right now, we're going with the side that they're stuck in, that they can't leave because they're already outside of the 2,000 cubits. So they're stuck in that courtyard, and they don't have food. So they would feed them very well. We were joking in a different chavrusa that it's kind of like how you get into a Chabad, right? They offer you good food and alcohol. So they're well incentivized to come to Jerusalem. Barishona lo hayuzazin misham kolayom. In the beginning, meaning maybe first temple or beginning of second temple, before they had these conflicts, the sectarian groups were disrupting this. So in the beginning, lo hayuzazin misham kolayom, they would have to stay there in that courtyard all day until Shabbos was over. Hitkin Rabbi Gamliel, the head of the academy, Rabbi Gamliel Hazakin, the elder, Shehu Mehalchen Alpayim Amar Lakol Ruach. He decreed that they would be able to walk 2,000 amos outside of Jerusalem. Basically, he made an enactment that any witnesses who come to Jerusalem on Shabbos would have the same status as a Jerusalemite. And that's not the only decree enactment they made. Ela'af hachachama, the wise woman, the midwife, habali aled, who came to Jerusalem or anywhere else to deliver a birth, v'habala hatzil manadleka, or someone who went to somewhere to save one from a fire, umin hagayis, or from bandits, umin nahar, or a flooding river, umin apolet, or a fallen structure. All these people who are doing these mitzvahs, once they finish doing the mitzvah, they take on the status for Shabbos as the people of the town that they then find themselves in. Therefore, they have 2,000 cubits, 2,000 amot in any direction to walk. Beautiful. Mishnah 6. Now we're going to talk about how the examination of the witnesses took place. Ketzad botkin et ha'edim. How would they examine them? Zug sheba rishon, the first pair of witnesses that came to court, because you need 2 witnesses in order to establish something in a court. So you need two witnesses. They would come as a pair, generally, I guess, or maybe they would pair up in the courtyard. Bodkin oto rishon. So the first pair that gets there are the first ones that get examined. Umachnisin at the gadol shebehem. So they separate them so that they can they can examine them separately to check that their stories match up. They bring in the elder of the two, and they say to him, "Tell us, Ketzad Ra'itat Levana, how did you see the moon?" And this set of questions shows what we talked about in a different day as well. That what does it mean to see the moon? I don't understand. I think you have to really have a good knowledge of the stars and the moon and the sun in order to know how this testimony went. And we'll see that in their questions. But most likely in the days when before electricity and before a set calendar, most likely everyone had this kind of knowledge of the stars and the moon and the sun. So they would ask them, did you see it lifnei hachama? Was the moon before the sun? Or la'achar hachama, or after the sun? I read through the explanation. I didn't read enough to actually understand what it's saying. Leah, would you just answer this? I'll be done in like 10 minutes or something. But apparently the day before the new moon, the moon rises on one side of the sun, and the day after the new moon, or the day however that works, it rises on the other side. So yeah, fascinating for more research, but beyond me. Litzvona, to the north of the sun, Olidroma, or to the south of the sun. Kama haya gavoa, how high was it? Ula ayin hayanota, where was it tilting? V'kama haya rachav, how big was it? Imamar lifnei chama, if they say it was before the sun, lo amar klum, then their testimony is not valid, because that means it wasn't the new moon. After they examined the first of the witnesses, they would bring in the second of that pair of witnesses, and they would examine him. If they found their words aligned, their testimony stands. The rest of the pairs of witnesses that came in to Jerusalem, to this courtyard, they would ask them brief questions. Not because they needed to ask the rest of the pairs of witnesses, because they've already established, once you've already got two witnesses that have been reliably shown to have seen the new moon, you don't need the rest of them, but they would still ask them, so that the rest of the witnesses would not leave the court disappointed. And we don't want them to leave disappointed, because we want them to come. If someone travels, an 8-hour, a 20-mile journey on Shabbos, or whatever it is in the sun, to Jerusalem, and then 5 other pairs of witnesses also make that journey, and you don't end up testifying, you're maybe a little bit less inclined to go the next time. But I guess if they bring you into the court and they ask you to testify, even if perhaps you know that they don't need your testimony, perhaps you don't know, but even if you know that they don't, it still, I guess, is feels like you're more needed, more important. All right, let's do one more Mishnah. Mishnah 7, Zayin. Rosh Beit Din Omer Mikudash. The head of the court says, Mikudash, sanctified. V'kol ha'am onin acharav Mikudash, Mikudash. And all the people would repeat after him, Mekudash, mekudash, holy, holy. Ben shanira bismano, ben shalonira bismano, whether the new moon is seen at its proper time or not at its proper time, mekadjenoto, you sanctify it. Let's just read a little bit on that. The Mishnah describes the ceremonial. Yeah, Shmuel?
No, keep going.
The Mishnah describes the ceremonial declaration made by the court when they sanctified the new month. We should note that we have seen several occasions in which ritual was used by the rabbis in order to engage in polemics against a rival Jewish group, such as the Sadducees. For example, the ritual of the water libation was emphasized, as was the ritual in which they harvested the new barley, the Omer, on the day after the first of Pesach. Those rituals, those minhagim were, those mitzvot, I guess, were emphasized because they were something that the groups disagreed on, whereas the Pharisees practiced that the Sadducees did not. So they specifically emphasized that mitzvah in order to, in the words of this commentary here, in order to engage in polemics against a rival group. Our Mishnah may also describe a ritual used for at least slightly polemical purposes. Okay. I don't know how, but okay. The head of the court says, sanctified, all the people answer after him, answer, sanctified, sanctified. So the ritual consists of the head of the court announcing that the new moon has been sanctified, according to the first opinion, which is the one we just read, that it's whether it's at its proper time, whether it's not, the ritual is performed whether or not the court sanctifies the new moon on the 30th day of the previous month, which is its proper time, turning the previous month into a 29-day month, or whether the previous month lasted a full 30 days and the new moon was not declared until the 31st day, which is not the proper time. Remember, a month can have only 29 or 30 days. It cannot have 31 days. Rabbi Elazar Bar Tzadok says the ceremony was performed only if the month was sanctified at its proper time on the 30th day. If the new moon was not seen on this day, then it is as if heaven had sanctified the month by allowing it to last the full 30 days. Since heaven sanctified it, the court does not perform the ritual declaration. We should note that beneath the surface of this Mishnah, we again can detect the conflict between the court determining the new month by making a ritual declaration and the calendar being set by the cycles of nature, that is, heaven sanctifying the new month. As we have seen, this was a major debate among Second Temple Jews, and echoes of the debate seem to still be found in post-temple rabbinic literature. Fascinating. So we have this argument, Rabbi Elazar bar Rabbi Tzadok Omer, im lo nira bismano in mekadshenoto. If the month ended up having 31 days, then I guess what that means is that we didn't sanctify the moon on its proper time. And therefore it's as if kfar kitshuhu shemayim, in heaven they sanctified the month and we didn't do it. So therefore we don't have this sanctifying ceremony. Whereas the rabbis say that whether it was 30 days or 31 days, we still are the ones sanctifying it, and you have this ceremony either way.
Yes, indeed.
Okay.
That's how we hold today, right?
Shmuel, you're breaking up for me. I heard you ask.
We don't really have a calendar. calendar. That's if we were in a situation where we were sanctifying the new month, which we don't now, of course, the calendar being fixed, would we hold that if it was on that sense that we go with how and when?
I heard you're asking, what I understood your question was, do we side with one of these sides?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think we side with the rabbis. They're the majority. That we are sanctifying the moon.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah. All right, let's come back tomorrow on Thursday. And it was a pleasure to learn with you all. I hope you enjoy. And we're making our way through Rosh Hashana, Masechet Rosh Hashana and Mishnayos. Be well.